It was the kind of silence that shattered hearts, when a man tied his loyal dog to a tree, her trembling body still carrying the fragile weight of newborn puppies, and walked away. No one knew what she would face in the cold, unforgiving woods. But as the hours stretched into days, something no one could have imagined happened. The bond between a mother and her pups would lead them into the arms of an unexpected guardian, and change everything forever. It was a bitterly cold afternoon when Thomas, a man with worn-out shoes and a heavy heart, pulled his truck into the clearing at the edge of the forest. His hands shook, not from the cold, but from the guilt that gnawed at him. He had always loved dogs. He grew up with them. But now, facing a new reality, they were more than just pets. They were burdens he could no longer bear. Beside him, his dog, Bella, a golden retriever with soulful brown eyes, whined softly, sensing the change in her owner's mood. She had recently given birth to 5 small, fragile puppies, and while they had once been a source of joy for Thomas, they were now a reminder of his financial struggles. The man's heart was heavy, and though he tried to ignore the pang of remorse, it clawed at him as he unlatched the tailgate and helped Bella out of the truck. The puppy's tiny cries filled the air, mixing with the chill of the wind. Bella's eyes searched his face, confusion and hurt flashing across her features. "I'm sorry, girl," Thomas muttered under his breath as he tethered her to the trunk of a thick oak tree. Her whines intensified, her paws scratching at the ground, trying to break free. Thomas climbed back into the truck without a second glance as Bella's soft whimpers faded into the distance. He drove away slowly, trying to convince himself that this was the best decision. But deep down, he knew that in leaving them there, he had betrayed the bond they once shared. Bella tugged at the rope, her desperate attempts only leaving her more tangled. The puppies, too small to move far, huddled around her, instinctively seeking warmth and comfort. Her heart raced as she tried again and again to break free. But no matter how hard she pulled, the rope held firm. The night fell quickly, casting a shadow over the forest. Bella, shivering with cold, could feel the warmth of her pups slowly fading. They needed to be fed. They needed her. But she was powerless, trapped by the unyielding cord around her neck. A rustling noise broke through the silence of the woods, causing Bella's ears to perk up. She froze, her eyes scanning the shadows. In the distance, a pair of glowing eyes stared back at her, unblinking. A large wolf stepped into the clearing, its fur dark like the night itself. The animal approached cautiously, sniffing the air. Bella tensed, instinctively protecting her puppies. But instead of attacking, the wolf merely circled them, its gaze soft and almost understanding. The wolf sat down a few feet away, observing Bella. Its eyes were not those of a predator, but of something else, something kind. Bella, too exhausted to be afraid, lowered her head to rest beside her puppies, too weak to fight, too cold to care. Days passed, and Bella's situation grew more dire. She was weak, her coat matted with dirt and snow. The rope around her neck dug into her skin, and the puppies were crying more and more often. Bella, struggling to stay awake, felt the weight of exhaustion bear down on her, but the wolf continued to watch over them. Every night it returned, sitting just out of reach but never leaving. Sometimes it would bring scraps of food, small animals it had caught in the woods. Bella couldn't bring herself to eat at first, but hunger soon forced her to accept the wolf's offerings. The bond between Bella and the wolf began to form, though neither could explain it. The wolf never came too close, but it was always there, just within reach. Sometimes it would nudge Bella's side, as though offering reassurance, and when the pups cried in hunger, the wolf would venture farther into the forest to find more food, always returning with something for them. The mornings were the hardest. The cold was unbearable, and Bella's limbs felt like they might snap with each movement. But the wolf remained vigilant, even when the skies threatened snow. It would stay close, ensuring no other predators approached. One morning, as Bella lay listlessly beside her pups, the wolf approached her more closely than ever before. It nudged her gently with its nose, then pulled away, waiting. Bella raised her head slowly, and in that moment, their eyes met. A shared understanding passed between them. Bella could not survive much longer without help, but the wolf wasn't done yet. On the third day, when Bella's hope was nearly gone, something impossible happened. A man emerged from the trees. He was older, his back hunched from years of labor, but his face carried the kindness of someone who had seen suffering and tried to ease it. His name was Samuel, and he had lived alone in the forest for many years, far away from the noise of the world. He had seen Bella and her puppies from a distance the day before, and had been watching them ever since, drawn by the strange sight of the lone wolf staying so close. Samuel, an old dog lover himself, had sensed that something wasn't right. The wolf watched the newcomer carefully, but it made no move to attack. Instead, it seemed to nod in silent agreement as Samuel slowly approached Bella, crouching down beside her. He carefully untied the rope that had bound her to the tree, his fingers trembling as he freed her. Bella looked up at him, exhausted and weak, but a spark of trust flickered in her eyes. The wolf, as if satisfied, turned and disappeared into the trees, leaving them to heal. Samuel gently lifted one of the puppies and cradled it in his arms, then another, until all 5 were safe. He reached for Bella, too, whispering softly to her as he scooped her up and cradled her against his chest. "I've got you, girl. You and your pups are safe now." The wolf, unseen but still close, watched them from a distance, its glowing eyes a silent promise of protection, even from the shadows. Over the next few weeks, Samuel nursed Bella and her puppies back to health. The pups grew stronger, their tiny bodies gaining strength with each passing day. Bella's energy returned, and she would often run in the yard, chasing after the little ones as they tumbled over one another. But the wolf never returned. Or so Samuel thought. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Samuel was sitting on his porch watching Bella and her pups play in the yard. A soft growl echoed through the trees, and he turned just in time to see the wolf emerging from the shadows once again. But this time, the wolf didn't approach. Instead, it stood at the edge of the yard, watching them all. Bella, the puppies, and the old man who had saved them. The wolf's eyes locked with Samuel's, and for a long moment, neither moved. Then, just as quietly as it had come, the wolf turned and disappeared into the woods, leaving no trace behind. Samuel shook his head in disbelief. "You're not just a wolf, are you?" But Bella, her head turned toward the trees, seemed to know something that Samuel did not. And somewhere deep in the forest, the wolf watched over them, its spirit a silent guardian, forever connected to Kuan, the dog, and her puppies. Sometimes the greatest acts of love come from the most unlikely places. The bond between a mother and her pups, the loyalty of a creature meant to be wild. These are the threads that bind us all together in ways we can't always understand. But there's always hope, even in the darkest of moments. So, What would you do if you were faced with the impossible? Would you give up, or would you fight for those who need you most? If Bella's journey touched your heart, share her story, and remind others that even in the face of abandonment, there's always a chance for redemption. The love we give to those who rely on us can change everything. Will you be the one to step in and offer a second chance?